Oh. Tiramisu. I have sort of come out of myself a little bit. I feel a lot different mentally. I'm not relying heavily on any electronics. I can't believe I didn't stop, honestly. I'm told that teams are struggling to find experienced superbike riders, so it's for a good reason now. It's made me realise that this second wind is really what I want to do.
Well, anyway, they're having a look. But this is, look, it's like, we're sat here like a school assembly. just in
Good morning, Mrs. Morris.
Welcome to Brands Hatch. Welcome to, I think, round 6 of the Bennett's British Superbike Championship. But this is better. This is better than all of that, because this is Dan Linfoot. He's back again. Fantastic. A mid-season catch-up, as we promised. One of those where sometimes we say we're going to do a mid-season catch-up, we don't get round to it. But Linny, welcome back, mate.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me. It's nice to be sat here on the grass with a little bit of temperature.
Beautiful.
And ready to go for round 6. So ask me some questions.
Well, we might as well start with championship leader of the Pirelli National Superstock Championship. We weren't kind of expecting that back in March, were we, when we were at the test?
No, it seems a long time ago now, doesn't it? With hats and coats on back there at the garage at Donington. But no, it surprised me. It's, we're all having a great time this year so far. I think I've won 4 races up to now.
You have?
And yeah, we've got a little bit of a buffer in the championship, leading the championship as well. So so far so good. I'm trying not to run before I can walk in that sort of way as well. I know that to become a champion, you have to have a lot of other attributes. So I'm very cautious of the fact that it can easily be undone. But just focusing on sort of one weekend at a time. We've got 2 races here this weekend at Brands. Potentially the weather on Sunday looks like it could be 50-50. So I love the rain, so that's not a problem for me. But yeah, I just don't want to do anything too much and upset the sort of championship situation. So yeah, looking forward to 2 more races here.
When we sat and had a chat at the start of the season, you were a bit deflated. You weren't quite sure where you were going with things. You kind of weren't enjoying your racing. But you see you in the paddock now, and there's like, your dander's up, that smile's there. This is why you do what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's caught me a little bit by surprise and off guard, actually, how much I'm enjoying this. And I know people have said it for a long time that, you need to enjoy your racing. And I've struggled to enjoy racing, actually, over the last 5-6 years with what we went through before. So it's really refreshing to have an environment and a team and results that really do make you enjoy racing. I know it can change if things happen, etc. But at the moment, with the last few rounds and the season that we've had so far, it's been incredibly enjoyable. I have sort of come out of myself a little bit. I feel a lot different mentally. Like you said, just maybe off camera before we started, that I was maybe a little bit lost and didn't want to do any of the training and all that sort of thing. Well, I've sort of flipped round again and gone back into full professional mode now, because I can sort of see myself as still up to this and still fast and got the potential to try get back to Superbike. So yeah, we want to finish the job off this year as well as we can do and win a load more races, try and win the championship and see what the next season brings.
How much has it taught you about yourself when you've done this now, going from where you were and the difficult side of racing, coming out of Superbikes, wondering what's going on, the difficulties with the teams that you had, to now coming into this where you love getting on the bike, you've got so much going for you every time you turn a wheel. The change mentally, and I suppose at home as well, is incredible.
Yeah, I'm having a good time everywhere this year. Home life is better because racing's going good. Everything just seems to not have a knock-on effect. 100%. I don't really know what's contributed to it. Obviously, we have a great environment with the team, and we're sort of laughing and joking all weekend, and then we're serious when we need to be serious. And I think that has an effect. That has a positive effect on me as well. I enjoy being here not only for the riding of the bike, but I enjoy being here with the people I'm with and just for the weekend as well. A lot of the times actually here in Superstock, there's sometimes only 1 race on a BSB weekend, so there's a lot of downtime. And I've been watching some of the Superbike sessions and Superbike races, and I've been having a great time with my team. So yeah, it's caught me by surprise, like I said before, pleasantly. But I don't want to get too excited just yet. I just want to keep focused.
I'm just going to ask Jen, will you do me a favour, please? Can you go back to the garage, and in the back of the backpack the questions, so you can get your random number generator out.
I remember them daft questions before from that.
Oh, mate, we've got more daft questions than you've ever seen before. You know, you get back in where you just go follow the Armco round the back of the AMD truck, and you'll be all right going that way.
Now
We'll be fine.
Now she's gone. You can ask some.
Yeah, now we can go for some real good questions now. Oh, I'd be lost without her, mate. I tell you, I proper would. So far as when, who was I talking to the other day? I was talking to someone about you the other day, and it's someone within the team, and it doesn't matter who they are, because there was something that fascinated me at Knockhill that I asked him about, and I noticed just from the perspective of your racing that coming out of the hairpin at Knockhill, you were one of the very, very few that were driving all the way out of it. The front wheel was in contact with the tarmac and the curbing almost all the way out. You're picking the bike up early, and you were visibly quicker than most people coming out of there. How much input have you had into that, or have the team gone, look, we'll show you how to ride this?
I would love to say that that's the case. Alec, proper job, mate. You're telling me how to ride the bike. No.
Funnily enough.
I don't have a specific answer. I mean, with my realistic head on, a lot of Superbike experience. I'm not relying heavily on any electronics. I'm riding the bike as I've always ridden Superbikes, and maybe one thing that I'm finding that I'm doing a lot more this year is just using experience more than ever. And I'm in sort of a mental place where I'm super happy and I'm not getting stressed by things, whereas the last few years I've been getting stressed easily. At the moment, I'm just a lot calmer and assessing everything. Go out on track at the right time in clear track. Don't want to get caught up in anyone else's accident. I'm just thinking all the time of using my experience and not effing the job up, you know what I mean? So I'm very aware of things like that. But to answer your question as to why I had speed there, I don't know. I feel like that weekend went, you can never say perfectly, can you? But very, very, very well for us. I've never led a race. Oh, sorry, I have led a race by that distance. At Alton in 17 in the wet, I led by quite a few seconds. But not very often have I led races to that sort of capacity where the gap's been growing and I've had to manage that. And I don't want to say it felt easy. It never did. That's, just disrespectful to say that. But I was in a frame of mind that was very controlling, and I felt like just fully in the zone, that I could add more if I needed to add more. I could be calm and just manage the gap if I needed to manage the gap. I felt in such a good place with my bike and setting and riding that it flowed well. I didn't have to stress on the bike. I didn't have to push over my limit to make the lap time, and that is something that I've longed for in bike racing for a long, long time. I'm just so glad that I'm on a package that is competitive in terms of everyone that I'm against at the moment. And now I feel like I can show what I can do on the bike because the bike is performing to how I want it to do.
I suppose it's fair to say that it's the first time that during a race and during a race season, you can actually be in the moment of what you're doing, and fully understand what's needed from you from the bike without the other stuff going on. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, and always in my previous years in Superbike, I've always been looking for so much more from the bike in terms of, me and the bike in terms of performance. Well, now we've got the performance is coming relatively, I'm not going to say easy again, the performance is coming to us as the weekend goes on, so I can then put my attention on other things like using my experience, track position, not being around a gaggle of riders, only pushing when I need to push, say in practice or qualifying. I feel like I'm a lot more rounded now at my mid ages, if you like. Experience. So that's the pleasant thing in the scenario at the moment, is that the performance seems to be taking care of itself every time we go out on track where we need to be. Not always at the front, but the more that I am topping sessions and winning races, the more it's becoming a habit, and I want to then top more sessions and win. So yeah, that's a feeling I've never had, and that's becoming an addiction, which is also pleasant. But the main, obviously, target is to be at the top of the championship at the end of the year when we're sat here at Brands in October.
there's definitely a fire and a confidence about you over the last, what have you had, 7 races, something like that? 4 to...
Yeah,
4 wins. Yeah, he's going to be
7
that,
or 8 races.
Yeah,
I think
and the consistency is there as well. But to see you now from where you were back when we did the first one, for me, is a fantastic turnaround. I think it's brilliant. And as I say, I don't think even you saw that coming.
Yeah, honestly, I'd gone into fun rider mode. I'd sort of, this time last year when I left the PR racing team in Superbike, I'd sort of just told myself to forget about bike racing as a career and just try and have some fun on a bike again. And Ian from Optimum Bikes, as we spoke earlier in the year in March at Donington, he picked me up. He wanted to race Superstock when I had nothing else. And what was a few fun rounds at the end of last year and started out this year as just continuing to have fun has quickly turned into me realising, actually, I'm still really good at this and I should devote myself fully again. And yeah, I'm back on drinking water and rather than Guinness, and training rather than eating Haribo. So
sorry, what was that word again?
Yeah, I know. Shouldn't say it.
If I'm doing all right, I might jump back in the gym for a couple of weeks.
Well, it's not really.
You're sat in now like, yeah, it's over there, mate. What time is it? Well, it's a little bit.
No, I wouldn't say I'm like that, but it's been much easier to go. I've wanted to go train. You know, in like we mentioned in the chat in March, I had to find a coping mechanism over the bad few years, and that was to knock the training down and just enjoy riding. Whereas now it feels dead easy to go training again because I'm really enjoying racing.
What's it been like riding with the younger riders as well now? You've got Joe Talbot that's sort of snapping at your heels. Franco early in the season was snapping at your heels. And who's the lad on the AMD? Richard Kerr.
Yeah.
I've just turned around, his truck's there. His name escaped me. Sorry, Richard. But the younger lads coming through that are making their way, they're all starting to look up to you now. They go, well, like, that's the target. That's the experience. That's what we have to do. And we've got to beat Dan, who's a former Superbike rider, Suzuka, World Endurance. There's so much that you've done across the career. Yeah. And now you are the pinnacle in that championship.
Yeah, I do feel that when I'm on track, there is a target on my back, but that's only natural. I'm realistic enough to understand that, and I was on the other side of that, 10 years ago with Shaky or whoever I was racing with in Superbike, so that's only natural. But it doesn't affect me at all. I've had some laps around some of the young, obviously Franco at the start of the year at Silverstone was incredible in them first 2 races. When everyone sort of starts at 0 and we haven't really had much testing, everyone starts on a real level sort of playing field, and it was mega to see Franco ride with such confidence straight away. Maybe in hindsight I could have had a bit more of a go at him at the end of the race, but I was just happy to start the year with solid points and a podium as well. And then obviously we went to Alton and he did really well again on the podium. I only managed to pass him on the last lap of the race. And obviously he's gone on now to bigger things in Superbike with Honda, and I know Joe Talbot's coming through, maybe still needs a little bit more experience, but definitely has a lot of raw speed. Richard Kerr seems to be fast everywhere he goes now, whereas if you look maybe last year he had some tracks like Knockhill he was really strong at, but he's definitely making steps everywhere he goes. So it's natural, isn't it? There's riders that just take a little bit of time, and there's riders that immediately jump to their potential. So great to see. I'm one of probably I'm not the oldest. Alistair Seeley's clearly the oldest in Stock 1000 at the moment, but I feel like I'm definitely on the older side, and I've got a lot of experience to show, and I assume that's why probably younger riders in Stock 1000 look at me as one of the targets.
I'd like to see, it'd be nice to see it as a target, but I also think it's nice to have you there as someone to aspire to as well.
Thank you, that makes me feel good.
And it is, but most of the guys in the championship have watched the podcast that we did, and they know what's happened, and a lot of the fans and everybody else that know your history. Now you've become at the top of the charts, you've pulled yourself up by the bootstraps, it's not gone your way, and now you're leading the one of the most competitive championships of a BSB weekend. You don't do that by accident. So to have these younger lads coming through and aspiring to go, well, look, Dan's done that, this is what he can do, we're chasing him, we can be as good as that, for me is testament to last year versus this year.
Yeah, I've persevered a lot over the last X amount of years. I can't believe I didn't stop, honestly. I was in such a bad frame of mind after the 2020, 21, early 22 season. I can't believe I just didn't walk away from it. I don't know why I didn't. But I'm glad I didn't, because it's going, now better than ever, and I've got such a fire in my belly to race well for my team, for myself, to try and win the championship. looking back on those tough times makes you stronger and makes the champagne feel so much sweeter.
You've tasted plenty of that.
As everyone keeps saying. So just ride the wave, soak it up. On the weekend that we
Sorry, I just batted that to you.
You've revved it up, haven't you?
Like wasp tennis.
But like I say, I soak it up when we're doing well, but then completely reset and start again for the following round. Every track's a new challenge. Every weekend has its own sort of difficulties. But the great thing, and I've longed for this for a long time, is that I'm not turning my bike upside down. I'm turning up to a track and I'm putting tyres and fuel in and I'm going riding it, and I've wanted that for a long, long time.
Is that part of the confidence that you have with the bike as well? That there's nothing that you're not overreaching to try and find those extra tenths, half a second here and there?
Makes sense. I'm not looking for any more from my package. I'm looking to maximise what I have straight away from the word go in practice. And then if any irregularities come up and I want to change something for the track, then we'll try and change it. But I've not changed my chassis for a long, long time, and I don't plan on doing so. It's nice that you can just work on yourself when you exit the pits in first practice and build upon your own potential and go from there, really. You don't get a whole lot of track time in stock, so if you're going to get stuck into making a load of changes, you need the sort of time to make sure that they're correct.
The package itself, the Honda Fireblade around the team, it clearly suits you and your riding style as well, and to be able to extract the best out of it as well.
Yeah, great package. I mean, it's clear because so many people have chosen a Honda this year in Superstock. I know it's a very, it's a category that's very much led by success. If one manufacturer wins, then most of the field turn upon it the year after. But yeah, we started with Honda. Well, my team actually started with Honda a couple of years ago, so they've been with the manufacturer already for a couple of seasons. It's performing brilliantly. I mean, the BMW has its strengths. It seems a bit faster down some of the long straights, but I seem to have a handle on most other sort of areas with the Honda anyway, so I don't think there's anything sort of massively negative that we lack. But I'm sure at some point it'll be dethroned and there'll be another bike that comes and knocks it off. So
something else is going to it goes in cycles, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
The stock championship always goes in cycles, but it's been impressive to see how you've extracted the most out of it, and going back to sitting, we keep referring back to that because that's the marker for this season for Dan and for the team and for how things have gone. And I think it is fair to say that when we sat there with Ian, that you didn't envisage yourself leading the championship after
we
5
hoped
rounds.
So.
It would have been, that's why you go racing. There's always that, you're not just going to turn up and pedal around without.
Like I finished second here at the last round last year, so we all sort of knew, okay, if everything goes good, we'll hopefully be near the podium quite regularly, but I don't think we all thought that I would have won 4 races at this point and that we're as strong as what we were, which, like I say, it's a pleasant surprise, but yeah, let's try and just keep doing what we can.
And on a hat-trick, just done the hat-trick, haven't you? 3 in a row?
Yeah, 3 in a row, yeah. So 2 at Knockhill and one at Snetterton, but it's, I keep banging on about using my head. It's not massively important that I win every race. It's more important to me to finish races if I don't feel at 100% in second or third than it is to win every weekend. I mean, unfortunately, Alex Solson's had a few DNFs this year and he's a chunk of points behind, and he's one of my main rivals now this season, so it's not massively important that I beat him every weekend. It's more important that I don't throw it up the road or do anything DNF-wise myself.
And we know he's going to be strong here this weekend.
For sure.
At Brands anyway. It's his favourite. It's his home round, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. He's strong everywhere we go, and I'd like to think that I'll be equally as strong as well. But yeah, that's what makes it fun actually in a race. And I can line up on the grid knowing that I'm going to have fun as well as racing. So it's good from that point of view.
How's life at home? Did Carly and the kids think, hang on, who's who are you and what have you done with my husband and daddy?
Yeah, I mean, it does have a knock-on effect at home. I do go home a lot happier. Carly's great anyway with looking after home life while I'm away. I've got to get that in there, haven't I?
100%.
The kids are the kids. They can be brilliant. They can be difficult, but they're always smiling and loving having me home. But this time of year is particularly busy. I'm going off to Suzuka to do the 8 hour again. So I've been already once to do some testing. We've got a few races back to, this race, Suzuka, Thruxton. So we've got quite a lot back to back in the next sort of 3 or 4 weeks. So won't see a whole lot of them, but no, life is good. I'm I've realised, like I said earlier, that I want to sort of try and get back on the superbike train. I was 35 a couple of weeks ago, and I've got sort of 5 or 6 years left to try and maximise what I have in terms of time. So I'm just really keen to sort of finish this year off as good as I can do and try and get back into superbike.
35 in the British Superbike Championship over the years has been sort of mid-season. When you look at the age, when you look at Brooksy, when James Ellison was in, the guys that were running over the last, say, 10 years, the average age has been sort of early to mid-30s, usually, before Taz came in and Brad. But the experience that you need to ride a British Superbike, you can't buy that.
I agree 100%. And, you know, maybe an element of sort of where I lie in this as well. Maybe I was a little bit of a late bloomer. I don't know. You know, I had a lot of years with Honda. I was in the right team at the wrong time, if you want to call it that. The bikes were tough then in 2015 to 18. So yeah, a lot of superbike experience. You know, I'm told that teams are struggling to find experienced superbike riders, so hopefully that'll play well for me at the end, you know, latter part of the year when I start picking up the phone. But yeah, sure, it's made me realise that I want to get back into superbike.
It's an interesting one because the amount of coverage on social media when we asked about the McCams ride with Ben up at Knock Hill, and people throwing like Charlie Nesbitt's name at it, and they were throwing Joe Talbot's name and Storm and people like that. They're all really, really good riders. Superb, but they lack experience in the British Superbike class. And as you see what happened to Tito at Snetterton, it's brutal.
Yeah.
It's brutal. They do not give an inch in that championship, and you know that. You've been there.
Yeah. I know that more than anything. You know, I'm more familiar with racing in Superbike than I am in Superstock. So sometimes it takes a little bit more adapting to from the ride. The racecraft is different in Superstock. It's actually very, they fight a lot. In the early laps, there's just manoeuvres for the sake of it, where you can easily lose momentum. Whereas in Superbike, it's a lot more sort of thought about, and you can tell that the riders are a bit more experienced. You can just see there's more experience in there, really. So, yeah, I agree 100% about the McCams, situation there.
I know we'll touch on it briefly. The opportunity was there, but credit to you. You're like, no, I've got a job to do. Thank you, but I've got a job to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was privileged to have the call from McCams to ask if I could teammate with Jason till the end of the year. It's an opportunity that I need, to be honest. I would love to have said yes to something like that to prove what I can still do in Superbike, but the timing was wrong. You know, I was leading the championship in Superstock. Not only that, the owner of the team is a good friend from back home, so I couldn't just pitch up and leave a friend who owns a team high and dry halfway through leading the championship. So yeah, tough one, and thanks to Steve for the chance. But yeah, they've got Tito, and hopefully see how the rest of the year goes for them.
It's going to be good fun to watch, without a doubt. We have some questions for you now. Now we've got the important stuff out of the way about the scene. You're not looking at this.
A quick peek.
No chance. Not a chance. We're going to start doing a little segment in the podcast. We've got a handful of questions in 2 sections, and my wonderful, beautiful, able assistant over the back of the camera has a random number generator. So you can't pick the questions, and neither can I.
Go for it.
So we have the random number 1 to 23 is what you need for these.
Give us a 4, come on.
You need a 4. Number 10. Number 10. Who would play you in a movie of your life?
Daniel Craig. My man, named Craig. Daniel Craig.
What?
Movie of my life. You don't leave me enough time to think about these. I'm
Daniel
rubbish
Craig
with
Linfoot.
Being off the cuff like that.
These are all off the cuff, mate. You got some thinking to do.
Come on, fire another one, because I can't answer that.
So we're going to go for Daniel Craig now.
Yeah,
We're going to go for the
because of the
simple
name.
one. Yeah, exactly. Go for the number 4.
Yeah, number 4, I like it.
What's the best memory of your career so far?
Wow, best memory of my career. If I had to put one on it, it would be test. It's only testing. It's nothing, exciting. But we did a test with Honda at the beginning of 2018, either end of 17 or beginning of 18 at Jerez. We're on track with MotoGP riders: Iannone, Espargaro, Lorenzo. I don't even know how it happened, like how it was allowed to happen, but you pinch yourself big time when you're on a BSB spec bike and MotoGP bikes with proper riders are flying on around you. It was incredible. The noise, how they just ride off into the distance. There were moments that you think, wow, like that was a memory, yeah. But there's other great stuff, you know. Suzuka's amazing. Endurance races are amazing. Winning BSB races has been very special. Loads of memories, but I think the one would be, riding with MotoGP bikes.
Fabulous. What's that, 8? Number 8. Oh, when you're in company, or when you're on a wit night or something like that in North Yorkshire, what's the story you tell most often?
I don't think I have a go-to. I mean, there's a few in there. I can't think of them right now. Wit's the one with the stories. You know what Wit's like.
Brilliant.
He just has a book full of them and just fires them off at will. I mean, there's a lot of things that's happened, you know, over the years that would make great stories, but digging them out, sat on a grass bank at Brands Hatch is a different story.
When I've just thrown you under the tractor that's grading the gravel trap. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. No, this is number 20. No, there's 24 questions in this one, not number 24. I'm not that brave when there's a camera looking at me. 18. Oh, okay. If you could have an unlimited supply of something, what would it be?
Oh. Tiramisu.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I love a tiramisu. I'm addicted to it.
I've never had tiramisu.
Yeah.
Ever. And
I used to absolutely hate it. I remember being with Gino Rea and his dad in Valencia in 2008 when we raced European Superstock. And Dave Rea said, "Have you ever had tiramisu?" I said, "Oh, I can't stand like that coffee smell, flavour, whatever you want to call it." He said, "I'll pay you £5 if you want to try a bit of this tiramisu." And I turned it down because I hated it. And now I'm absolutely addicted.
Dan Linfoot can't be bought.
Well, different story now. Now there's mortgages. It's a bit different.
Now there's a mortgage and kids involved. Hope for a £5. Jennifer, 2 more, please. 9. If you had a time machine, would you go backwards or forwards?
Yeah, backwards.
Why?
Only in terms of racing. I'm not going to say it looked easier, but it looks like it was a lot of fun for bigger amounts of money. And I don't know, this era is obviously brilliant for technology coming through, but 2-stroke. I'm a big 2-stroke lover, fan, race 2-stroke. So I would love to have ridden like NSR 500, that sort of era. I would love to go back to that sort of time, really.
Is there any chance you can get a ride on one of those at some point?
No, only probably Goodwood, if they dug one out at Goodwood.
It's worth doing next year.
I've done the festival speed before.
Yeah,
I rode quite a few bits up and down the hill there. But yeah, I'd like to go again.
We've never been.
Get yourself there. You'll get to interview a lot of celebrities.
Well, we've done Freddie Spencer and Wayne Gardner before, so you're in good company.
Oh, thank you.
Twice, both of them. Number 3. If you could have a superpower, what would it be? This isn't the ladies' toilets questions being invisible. You can't do that one.
Well, I mean, predicting the future would always be helpful, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You know, in many walks of life, you know, in finance, in business, in health, there's loads. That would be pretty cool to have.
That's so cool. I like that.
Like that.
Never thought of that.
Finally, an off-the-cuff question I've actually been able to answer.
They're going to go down so well. I do like those. Mate, talk to me about Suzuka, because that place fascinates me. It's not somewhere, it's fair to say, I probably will never get there. It's not going to happen for us to get out to Suzuka, but we watch it every year. It's the most incredible spectacle from a racing point of view, from a riding point of view. Tell me about your experiences at Suzuka.
It's incredible in every way, but it's super tough. It's super hot and humid. The track itself is very enjoyable, narrow and sketchy in places, but a bit of everything. I was there 2 or 3 weeks ago testing. I'm riding a Suzuki this year in the Superbike class, actually a really good Suzuki with a good teammates on Bridgestone tyres, so I'm really excited about the 8 hours this year. The most difficult thing for sure is the conditions. The humidity's high 90s and dripping before you've got out on the track. Actually, sometimes out on the track with a little bit of breeze going through you, it's not too bad, but the last 10-15 minutes of the stint can get wet, is the word. I think the biggest difficulty for me was dealing with sweat. It's not dealing with breathing or cardiovascular fitness or anything like that. It's literally dealing with managing sweat. So I don't know if you've noticed now, even in a race here, I wear like a little blue sweat cap. And it's not because I sweat overly more than anybody else. It's It's just I don't want one drip of sweat coming off the forehead onto the inside of the visor when I'm braking, and then you're trying to peek around a little ball of sweat on your visor. So I wear like a skull cap, especially in Japan, because you sweat so much more. But yeah, the stints are long. I mean, it's a 2-minute 10 lap roughly. I think it's 29 or 30 laps per stint, depending on fuel consumption. You'll do 3 or 4 stints in the race if you're a 3-rider team. If you're a 2-rider team, you'll do a little bit more. But it's great that, you know, it's like the mecca of bike racing. So many riders from different championships congregate for that event, and then you can measure yourself up against other riders. Okay, if you're on similar machines and tires, obviously helps. But yeah, great experience. The pit stops are so incredible to be part of. There's not much of riding in the dark there. It's only sort of 45 minutes to an hour of riding in the dark because how the timings work. But you just know that you're taking part in something really special because it's so well attended. Obviously, the Japanese are so... what's the best word? They're so...
Passionate?
Not just passion, but they're so straightly... I can't think of the word off the top of my head now. Prim and proper. They're like...
Polite.
Respectful.
Respectful, there's a great
Respectful
word. That's a great word.
And I love that. Like, you seem respected when you... Not that I want respect wherever I go, but you seem really respected from the moment you arrive. Everything's so clean, in order. A bit OCD. I think that like little bit of OCD makes me tick, actually. So, yeah, I love it. I mean, I struggle a bit with the food.
Oh, really?
It's a different world for the food scenario, and I do just try and get by with familiar stuff, what I know, but I love it. It's a great place to go, and yeah, really lucky to be able to take part in it this year. I go next Sunday, so a week and a few days.
A week and a few days time. What's the circuit like to ride?
Lovely. Long corners that are fast, some obviously technical corners that lack vision. Barriers are close in a few areas, but it is what it is. Yeah, it's challenging. It takes a while to learn. I think also what takes a while to learn is that normally you go there as part of a 3-rider team. So if you're sharing one bike, you're getting a third of the laps essentially. So it seemed to take a while to really get a handle of learning the traits of the track. But I've been now probably 4 or 5 times, and finally I'm at a point where I feel like I can arrive at the track and actually push straight away, knowing from what I've done in the past there. So yeah, looking forward to this year's 8 hours. I know that there's a bit of a heat wave at the moment in Japan and also in Europe, and that might make it tough, but we'll be ready. There's a big aircon box that I'll be living in between the sessions. So.
With your English complexion, it's
Yeah.
going to be a little bit on the difficult side, isn't it?
So I'm teammates this year with Hafiz Sayarin from World Superbike, although he's had a little bit of a tip-off in testing a couple of weeks ago and hurt himself, but I think he's going to be okay for the race. And with a Japanese Superbike rider called Takuya Tsuda, they call him. He's an ex-Yoshimura rider, so he's really fast. So 2 great teammates, and hopefully we can have a good push for a good result.
So are we looking top 10, top 5?
I think we're trying to look for more than that.
I didn't want to, I didn't want to be too presumptuous.
You're right, because it's such a well-entered contest that even if you're on a capable bike, sometimes it's tough to break the top 10. But the team are saying they want to win, and okay, well, it's a great to be able to want to win, and realistically, we'd like to think we've got a realistic chance of a top 5, but let's see. I mean, I've gone over a second quicker than I've ever been there before in testing, and I'm only sort of within a second of the fastest rider of the team, so fingers crossed we can have a strong one.
Wax on, wax off, Danielson. You're going to be in there. That's what it's all about. Now, I don't know if it was last year or this year, so forgive my memory because we've been all over the place. Did you do Spa this year?
Yeah, last year.
It was last year when
it
was
last year.
Chucking it down.
Yes.
Yes. It was that.
No, it didn't chuck it down for the whole lot. I only chucked it down for the last 4 hours in the morning of the finish.
Oh, that's all right. So it's only the last 4 hours.
Send the teammate out for that one.
Where else have you been this year? Has it just been
endurance?
Suzuka? Yeah.
I did Le Mans the start of this year as a last
you did.
minute. Danny Webb got injured, and I just a last minute, replacement for the Polish Wodzik Yamaha team. So last year I did Spa, I did the Bol d'Or. We finished second in the Bol d'Or. And then, this year Le Mans and Suzuka.
How much do you enjoy the endurance side of it? Does that bring
it.
you out a little bit more as well than just doing the short circuit stuff?
Honestly, I love it. It's like another took me a while to really gel with it, if I'm honest. And, you know, the thought of doing a 24-hour race before you've actually finished one is a bit daunting. And to get to the flag for one was like, okay, right, I've done that now. And then when you go into the next 24, you then know sort of a bit more what it's all about. And I think I've done like 3 or 4 24 hours now, so I wouldn't bat an eyelid now at going back to do a 24. It's a completely different sort of mentality and experience. But mega, I'd recommend to anybody to do it.
When your time is done on the short circuits, I hear it pays quite well.
Maybe for the top guys, yeah. I need to become one of the top guys in a top team first. Definitely something I would want to keep doing for longer after the short circuits. Like I said earlier conversation, I've realised that I've got 5 or 6 years more to give here, and then if that dries up or there's no place for me, then I would definitely want to consider or take an option in world endurance full time. I really enjoy it. I enjoy the tracks. I enjoy the teams. I enjoy all the strategy, planning, tactics. I enjoy all of that. It's a great experience. So would love to do more of it.
Sylvan's mid-50s. He's still cracking on with it. So you got 20 years on that. Yeah. I mean, he's maybe not quite that old, but he's certainly comfortable in his years, is Sylvan, and he's still putting in decent laps.
And I think the experienced riders, from my little experience in endurance so far, are the better riders. There's so much more to think about than just getting on the bike and going full whack. You're thinking about a lot more than just trying to make the best lap time possible. And obviously, the worst thing in endurance is to crash. So you don't really want to be pushing that hard all the time that you're risking having a crash.
James Westmoreland doing quite well in it.
Yeah, good friends in Westy. Yeah,
best mates of Westy.
Yeah,
so
yeah, he's in a really good team. He's with the 333 Honda team. Great biking team. He's a reserve rider, so he's taking part in every event, but hasn't got to race for a while now. But I'm sure his chance will come.
It's something that you can see as well, isn't it? It's like, well, okay, if that's happening, with the fire that's in your belly now, is it opening your eyes to the opportunities that are there? You can now see the woods for the trees.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. I was a bit lost 6 months ago, definitely a bit unsure of what was going to happen or how strong I was going to be, and I don't want to sound like I was silly to be in that frame of mind. I think it was just a 4 or 5 year sort of pendulum of it not really going my way, and naturally it got to the point where I had to change something, and probably in hindsight it's for a good reason now. It's made me realise that this second wind is really what I want to do. This story for me has been fantastic. It's been great to tell the story so far, from last season to early this season to now, to see that change on the way through, and to listen to how you're talking now and what your positivity. Everything's there. This is the Dan Linfoot of 8, 9, 10 years ago. Yeah. This is what got you the Honda ride in the first place. This is proper Dan Linfoot. I'm living and breathing it again.
Yeah.
Whereas going back to that coping mechanism that I mentioned before, I remember getting back from BSB races, getting home and not even wanting to put the recording on of the TV because I just didn't want to watch it. It frustrated me. I couldn't deal with seeing myself in 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. I hated it. Whereas now I'm eager to get home and get the TV on and watch it. And
look, there's Daddy.
No, not just for that reason, but to see my performance.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm in a completely different mind frame. It's so welcome. Yeah.
What do you pick out from your performances on the TV?
Lots. The greats to look back on. I'm looking at loads of specific little things, not just in what I'm doing, and the guys that are in the front pack as well. Just riding style, how they enter the corner, positioning, rear brake, all sorts of different aspects. And I think that's natural. Most riders, if they see any footage back, are so aware and switched on of what they need to be looking at that they go straight to little things like that, really. And I'm no different. This
is what fascinates me when you listen to the likes of Whit in commentary, or JT, when they or James Hayden as well. When you see that you have the lead commentator and you have the colour commentator, is usually a rider, and the things that you can pick up on, because we're never going to be able to do what you do. I tried it once and I had to pick gravel out of my arse at Coppice. Thanks Levi Day, still owe him for that. Levi Day and Brad Howell.
Oh yeah.
So bearing in mind I don't ride that often, and I'm on track with those two at Ron Haslam Race School. No elite past us in that first session on the Premier bikes. And then when it goes wrong, this is where experience counts, because I had no idea.
But it's good for you to have that perspective now of what it's like for us out on the bike. You know, a lot of people will watch it and think, wow, it's amazing, but maybe not quite know how.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's made not just by everybody that takes part in races here at British Championship level. It's made to look quite easy, whereas it takes a long time and experience and pain in a lot of cases and money to get to the point where it looks that easy.
Well, nobody's just riding around. The beauty of it is Kyle Ride giving us some shit in the background. Was it Kyle? Who is it? Or is it Billy? I think it might be Billy McConnell giving it what for in the background. We need to have Billy on at some point as well, or he'll be getting upset that we've not spoken to him this season. Racing motorcycles is really fucking difficult. You guys do make it look easy, but these motorcycles don't work if you don't race them.
No, you have to push them, you know, very close to near to their limits to keep temperature in tires and all, you know, that sort of technical things come in. But also it has to be very automatic. You know, you can't go out on the track and think about every single thing you have. You know, you can't think, now I need to push on the handlebar, now I need to pull the brake lever, now I need to. You can't tell yourself that every time you do something, because it's brain overload. So it has to become very automatic when you're out on the track and do it naturally, which is what takes a lot of experience and time to do.
Dan, Mr. Experience Linfoot. But it is. It's exactly what I know. I'm only taking a mickey, but it's right. It only comes over time, which goes back to, as we said about the British Superbike top 6, top 8 over the last 10 or 15 years, has always been the upper age group, because the experience is so necessary. Mate, thank you so much.
No problem. Thanks for having us back. I know we had the chat in March, and it was just on my radar that we're going to have another catch up again. So thanks for getting us on. Great to see the pod going well.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. We're ticking away with
a lot of big names over the last few rounds, and World Superbike stars and MotoGP legends, and
that was good fun. They talk to us. They tolerate us, so we're quite happy with that. The listeners and the viewers have been fantastic with their comments. They're very complimentary about yourself and on the reels and everything else. But thank you, mate. That means a lot. We're working at it slowly but surely, and it's picking up beautifully. And we're only as good as the guests that we have on. So thanks, mate. Really appreciate that.
No, thank you. Cheers, guys.
Best of luck for the rest of the season. Best of luck this weekend at Brands Hatch. We'll do a catch up at the end of the year, maybe in the bar.
Yeah,
I think that'd be quite fun.
Sounds like a plan.
But see where we are at that point. And wish you and the Optimum Bikes team all the best for the rest of the year.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Linny.
Cheers.